Okay, so let's we're gonna get started. Kristen's on the road. She's trying to connect in via phone, but she's having some difficulties. So I am going to call this Plan Commission meeting to order. Roll call, please. Tracy.
Chris Zellner.
Yes, here.
Phil Willems.
Here.
Kristen Runge. Brad Zeman.
Here.
Brian Malish.
Here.
Chris Thomas.
Here.
Brian Wallace.
Here.
Okay, first item we have is minutes. Would anybody like to change anything or make a motion within the minutes if they see anything that needs to be corrected? Otherwise, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion by Chris Thomas. Do we have a second? Second by Brad Zeman. Any other comments? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, Tracy, vote, please.
Chris Zellner.
Yes.
Phil Willems.
Yes.
Kristen Runge. Brad Zeman.
Yes. Yes.
Brian Malish.
Yes.
Chris Thomas.
Yes.
Brian Wallace.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next we have public comment. For those who are in as participants or attendees for the meeting, if you'd like to make a comment this evening for anything that's on or off the agenda, please raise your hand. And I'm not sure if it's Tracy or Todd that's pulling you in, but one of those will take care of you.
I am looking and I see no hands raised at the moment. Still no hands.
So Todd Schmidt, I know you're there. I don't know if that's Kristen's number that just popped in.
Let's try that.
Yeah, that's Kristen. Promote her in as panelist, Tracy.
Yep.
The 920 number.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, cool. All right. I'm gonna go back on mute, but I am here. Thanks
Okay.
for the help.
Thank you. All right, first item on our agenda under old business, discussion action on a proposed amendment to the Village of Waunakee zoning code in which section 133.16, restriction on rezoning for multifamily use would be repealed from the zoning code. Kevin, are you introducing or is?
Yes, I certainly can. And really, these two agenda items go together because if we, I think we've explained this before, but just by removing the ordinance doesn't have the full effect of what we're requesting, because if we're going to take action on an item, it not only needs to comply with the ordinances, but it needs to comply with the comprehensive plan. So we'd actually have to have changes to the comprehensive plans to also, I guess, partner up with the change in the ordinance. And we have made changes to the comprehensive plan language based on input from the last Plan Commission meeting. So if, I guess my question to you, Chris, is do you want to take these two items together and see if there's questions? Because I don't think it would be prudent for us to take action on one without knowing we're going to support for the other.
I don't see any reason why we wouldn't take them both together. So if anybody objects, please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see anybody in the committee that's objecting, so let's do that, Kevin, take both at the same time.
Okay, so Brian and Jason and I met and had some discussions, and we tried to include language that really demonstrated or really reflected what the Plan Commission asked for at the last meeting in terms of the comprehensive plan changes. And again, you're not changing the comprehensive plan tonight. This just puts into motion the process of going forward, which certainly involves a public process. It includes a 30-day commenting window. So there'll be plenty of time and a place to take public comments on this, and that'll be expected, and that'll be a part of it. So what the changes, if Jason is on, I'd probably ask him to go through the resolution, because that's probably the language in the resolution really has the meat of what we're asking you to do.
Sure, I can present that. I think you all have that in your packets. That starts on page 9 of 20, pages 9 and 10. And rather than read it to you, what I will do instead is just point out a couple of things that I think have changed since the last version that was discussed. We've added some, so it's stated as 75-25. I think we had 70-30 earlier as the desired unit mix to get to. We've added a note about neighborhood areas. So in that first paragraph there, this mix should be maintained village-wide and also within larger neighborhood areas, e.g. quadrants of the village. And so that's not tightly defined, but to try to give a sense of the scale that's intended in talking about neighborhood areas. And then indicating the flexibility, which I think was in there. And then we had kind of talked about last time, like, all right, when we're granting exceptions for smaller developments, what are we talking about there? And so there's a paragraph that talks about, you know, still wanting that mix on larger developments, subject to kind of how it compares to what's around it. But then that next paragraph for smaller developments that could be either single family or just one apartment building, that the village will be looking at how it fits into the wider context. And a couple times in here it emphasizes the importance of building, site, and neighborhood design. Anything I missed? Kevin?
No, I think it's well summarized, and if you're interested, we can share the screen, and we would probably look for any questions that the Planning Commission has on the proposed language.
Chris, you're muted.
So I'm sure we all have questions, comments in regards to this. I'm going to go around the horn, and I'm going to start with Kristen since she's on the phone. I'll put her in there. Kristen, any questions, comments in regards to the resolution?
No questions. It all looks good to me.
Okay. Brian Malich?
No, I don't think I have any questions. It's kind of, it's the spirit of what we were talking about last time.
Okay. Brian Wallace?
I don't have a whole lot for questions. I think, I think that the way it's rewritten here meets the spirit of what we're talking about. The one question I do have, and it really comes down to interpretation, is when we talk about this mix should be maintained village-wide and also within larger neighborhood areas. How is that to be interpreted for existing neighborhoods that are already in the village? That how is that going to potentially be impacted with if you got a neighborhood or one of the neighborhoods in Waunakee is generally a single family housing? Are we going to turn around and try to force multifamily into it or in that near location?
Jason, I think I'll have you take that.
Sure. So
Brian.
I don't think that it's the intent of any part of this policy to be forcing things into places, because really I think you're in a reactionary role in that you have people bringing forward development proposals to you and you're reacting to them. And so I guess the question is, would you approve a multifamily development that was proposed if it were next to in an area where there's a lot of single family housing right now? And I guess my answer would be that in principle, definitely yes, because that's kind of the point, is to have a better balance in places that right now aren't very balanced. But also the reason that we keep talking about building and site design is that it's got to work. We don't want to jam a 3-4 story building up against a single family home. There's got to be some sensitivity to how it fits within the neighborhood.
So I only asked that question just because when I read through it, I think it reads well. I'd be more asking that of the other members to see if they felt that that was something that would be of concern. So that is it. Otherwise, I'm good with the language.
Jason, I would add on that, it's the plan commission, you're given the directive to write the rules. So these are really, I say rules and I don't mean them as rules, because it's given you the flexibility as we move forward that you have the ability to interpret this as this goes forward. So we're going to be asking the plan commission, and certainly we'll try and guide you as we go along. But I think if we didn't want this to be a rigid type of document that you're going to absolutely have to follow, it's trying to build in as much flexibility and give you the means in order to make sure that these developments work together.
I appreciate that. I think that's great. And I just, it's interesting when you read through some of the history here. The last time they went through this was 23 years ago. And so at that point in time, there was some thought process, I'm assuming, of where they wanted to be from a village perspective. And, we're revisiting here again. And, it looks like we're going to stay with some of the ratios, but maybe provide a little more flexibility. So it's just, it all kind of depends on who, at any point in time, 10 years from now, who's on the plan commission and how they can be able to interpret this. And I just want to make sure that everybody's comfortable that this language, can live on beyond this team, at any point in time.
Okay. Brian, the only comment I have in regards to those is they're awesome things to look at out into the future. And I'm wondering if it's the name change that you have on the screen that is causing that. So it could be, I'm not sure. So your name right now today is Brain Wallace versus Brian. So just pointing out that I didn't know you changed your name, but it seems to be appropriate. So sorry, I had to take some humor into that one. Chris Thomas.
No, I think this largely captures what we talked about last month, and like has just been stated a couple of times, it still provides that flexibility. So I'm good with this language.
Okay, thank you, Brad Zeman.
Looks great. Nice work.
Phil Willems. You're muted, Phil.
No questions.
Okay, and I would be in agreement, like I said, to the others. I think this hits the spirit of what we wanted accomplished. Obviously, there's going to be some poking and some suggestions, I'm assuming, from the public as we go through the next month with the input from the public as we go. So I'm comfortable with where we're at today. So I guess we'd look for a motion. Kevin, Brian, do we need to make separate motions?
We do.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, I would kind of double back to page 5 because it sounds to me like the comments that have been made by the Plan Commission on the comp plan amendments have been generally positive. So I think it probably makes sense to go back to the section regarding the ordinance. We have a recommended motion there on page 5. I would address that first, and then probably the recommended motion that's on page 7, or I'm sorry, page 8 of your packet.
So that first motion would be to recommend approval of the ordinance amendment to the village board. Do we have that motion from anyone?
I will make the motion to recommend approval of the ordinance amendment to the village board.
Motion by Chris Thomas. Do we have a second?
Second.
I second.
Kristen, nice try, but Phil beat you to it. So I'm going to go with second for Phil Willems. Any other comments with regards to this motion? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none. Tracy, roll call vote, please. Yes.
Chris Zellner,
Yes.
Phil Willems, Kristen Runge,
Yes.
Chris Thomas,
Yes.
Brad
Yes.
Zeman, Brian Mallett,
Yes.
Brian Wallace.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, so next recommended motion would be to motion to approve resolution PCR 20.01 as presented. So with that approval, Brian, I guess I'll go to you on this one. It doesn't say to the village board. Are we just able to do this before that? It doesn't say.
It's actually within the resolution itself. So if you go to the next page on page 9, paragraph 1 says the Plan Commission recommends to the village board, and then it goes on. So it's actually within the resolution.
Okay. Okay, do we have that recommendation?
Approval, actually, not a recommendation.
Approval, sorry, that approval.
Can I ask a procedural question?
Sure, Jason.
Just in the, as follow-up to Kevin's, I think it was Kevin commenting that, or maybe it was Brian saying that's still going to come through again. Would this come back to Plan Commission again, or is this recommendation going to take it to board and still do a hearing at the board level before it's approved?
Correct. The recommendation here would be, if the motion is made to approve the resolution and that motion is passed, then this issue would not come back to the Plan Commission. We've already had, a couple of discussions here. It would go to the village board for the November 16th village board meeting. There would be a public hearing on both on the proposal to amend the comprehensive plan. There would also be a public hearing at that same village board meeting on the zoning amendment that you approved with your prior motion. So there's going to still be a couple of public hearings, but it would not be coming back through the Plan Commission.
So Jason, I'll ask a question to Brian then too. Assuming that the village board didn't strike it down, it could come back in a different form to the Plan Commission, potentially. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, so if the village board got it and it wanted to make material changes to the document, I think at that point we'd have consideration as to whether, in light of, let's say they wanted to make material changes because of the comments made by the public, I think at that point we'd probably have a discussion at the village board level to see if people supported those changes, and if so, does it make sense to run it back through the Plan Commission then?
Okay, I just wanted to be clear that it's potentially could come back, just not, it would be changing its form as you just stated. So, okay. All right, then I'd be looking for our motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution PCR 20-01 as presented.
Motion by Chris Thomas,
Second.
second by Brad Zeman. Any other comments, please raise your hand. Seeing none, Tracy, roll call vote, please.
Chris Zellner.
Yes.
Bill Willems.
Yes.
Kristen Runge.
Yes.
Chris Thomas.
Yes.
Brad Zeman.
Yes.
Brian Malish.
Yes.
Brian Wallace.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Next we have under new business, discuss and take action on proposed entrance feature for Heritage Hill subdivision at the corner of Division and Main Streets. Kevin, I'm assuming this is you?
It is. I was just trying to get my video on. Okay, I'm on. So I did share my screen, and certainly, Tracy, you can let in Dan Day and Chris Ellers, and they may want to add some comments regarding we're calling this an entrance feature. That'll be at the corner of Division Street and State Trunk Highway 19, and this would require a change. And we don't want these features on village-owned property. We want them to be owned and really maintained by the HOAs. So this would actually be on land that would be under the control of the HOA. So with that, why don't I ask Chris Ellers if he's interested in adding some comments on what they're proposing, or Dan Day. I'll leave it to you, Chris, first.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, I'll give everybody a quick update here. I'm having issues getting my camera on, but I assume everybody can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. I found it. All right, quick update regarding Heritage Hills. As everybody's seen, there's been a lot of activity out there, and we're making tremendous progress given the nice weather we've had so far this year. And we are about 2 weeks away from paving out there, maybe less if the weather holds, and almost less than a month from being able to start our first house out there. So we're very excited. That's the schedule we're looking for. In the meantime, we've really been focused on this intersection of Division and Main Street, and really trying to do something that correctly incorporates the surrounding hills and the topography, and also adheres to kind of the easements that are in place, whether it be the DOT or also Waunakee. We have kind of narrowed down our focus into doing a very prominent monument here that will also blend into the adjoining topography and in the adjoining hills. And for point of reference, what I've always really liked is what the University Research Park did in Madison, and we're trying to emulate something similar here, where we've got these this monument with the stone facade, and then lettering that you'll see here pronounced in Heritage Hills, but also a nice uplighting similar to the exhibit that's on the left there. So it is lit up at night and also visible from Division and Main Street, so people will get a feeling for what's over the hill, essentially, in our phase 1 of the development here. We're looking for approval and possibly constructing still yet this year. I'd love to get it in time, but I don't know if Mother Nature will cooperate with us. But this is the general direction that we're going. As far as the stone facade, kind of going back and forth on what that'll look like, but I'd love to, if possible, utilize some of the limestone that we've been quarrying out of the land out there, and use something similar to that, that we could, if we can get the color to match, that could be reused on this stone or on this sign. So that's really where we're trying to go with this. This will be the prominent entry monument for the entire development, because we have the room to put it in here. And so this is really a key path for us and a key designation. So I'd be welcome to take on any questions or comments in general at this time.
Okay, I'll start, I guess, with questions, Chris. So, and it's maybe not for you. It might be for, do we have any of these monument signs like this anywhere else in the village at this point, Kevin, that you're aware of to this degree for any of our other subdivisions?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's plenty of pretty good examples. Southbridge has got a good example, off of Kearney Drive. Kilkenny, coming from the other way, they have the pillars in the middle, and then there's in the boulevard, there's a monument sign. Even Gander subdivision on a little bit smaller scale has the rock really identifying the subdivision. 6 Mile Creek, and some of you were on the Plan Commission when we had that one that was approved before I was here, so it's more than 30 years ago. And we had issues with it in terms of like who was supposed to maintain it, and that this clears it up. This puts it back on the HOA, so we have a good understanding. They have mechanism in place to be able to maintain these features, and it's not really put on our staff to do it. Does that answer your question, Chris?
You did exactly what I wanted you to do, so I appreciate that. I'll just go around and ask for others for questions right now. I'll come back to a couple more that I have. Chris Thomas.
I have no questions at this time.
Ryan Wallace.
No questions. Thank you.
You guys are easy tonight. Phil Willems.
Thanks for clearing up that maintenance thing for the HOA. Other than that, no questions.
Kristen Runge.
Chris takes great notes, because when we talked about this, I feel like it was 6 months ago now. It was probably not that long ago. We referenced Science Park and the retention pond that was like art there. So I think it's gorgeous. Yeah.
I think that's more of a comment, but great. No questions.
Oh, yeah, that's a comment.
Thank you. Brian Malich?
No, trying to come up with something, but no, I think it looks nice, looks appropriate, everything looks good. It's all comment talking about grading and water over path, but I'm sure that'll get worked out, a little culvert or something. But no, to the sign, to the structure, I think it'll look good on that corner.
Very good. Brad Zeman?
Good. I like it.
Okay. I think I hit everybody there. I don't think I missed anyone. The only other question I had was really, Is this going to go up right, like first thing that you're going to do over there right now? Get it in there quick so everybody can identify? It's more of a wayfinding sign as far as I'm concerned. It looks amazing. I agree with Kristen on that. But yeah, I think, we're doing signs right now within the community to make sure people can know where different things are. And I think it gives a little bit of individuality to each of our subdivisions. So I think that's all good. So is this something that would go up pretty quick?
We're trying to finish up the construction plans this week and then get the thing out for some pricing. And if the weather behaves, we'll be able to get something in hopefully this fall yet and have something there.
Okay, well, 2020, everything seemed to behave. So I'm kidding, by the way, with that comment, but hopefully we'll go for this, as we go through. So, okay, so we've got a recommended motion in here. The motion would be to approve the entrance feature subject to the land division being finalized to keep the feature on HOA property. Do we have that motion by anyone?
I'll make that motion, Chris.
That's motion by Brian Wallace. Do we have a second?
Second.
Brad Zeman actually could put his hand up because he's on the screen, so I am going to put him because it seemed like a tie. So Brad Zeman is the second on that one. Any other comments, please raise your hand. Or Kristen, speak out if you need to. Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Chris Elmer?
Yes.
Phil Willems?
Yes.
Kristen Runge?
Yes.
Chris Thomas?
Yes.
Brad Zeman?
Yes.
Brian Malish?
Yes.
Brian Wallace?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, so Chris, thank you for being here tonight and sharing, and looking forward to seeing the rest of your project as it moves along. So lots of positive comments I've heard in the community about it. So good to see.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, one final motion.
Chris, I would only add that we didn't have it on the agenda because the Joint Planning Commission is canceled tomorrow. There's no agenda items.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. So then, anybody would like to make the last motion?
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Phil Willems to adjourn. Second by Brian Malich.
A second.
Okay, call the question.
Chris Elmer?
Yes.
Phil Willems?
Yes.
Kristen Runge?
Yes.
Chris Thomas?
Yes.
Brad Zeman?
Yes.
Brian Malish?
Yes.
Brian Wallace?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your week. And I want to point out that that was indeed, I believe, our fastest, most efficient Plan Commission meeting I think we've had since we went on to Zoom. So congratulations to all of you. Thanks everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.